Recent revelations have brought to light personal letters from Princess Diana, offering intimate insights into the early relationship between her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. In one such letter, addressed to the family's former housekeeper, Violet Collison, Diana wrote,
Princess Diana's lost letter to Prince Harry. This heartfelt and deeply personal letter, hidden away for years, has finally been revealed, offering an intimate glimpse into Diana's love and thoughts for her son. Written during a pivotal time in her life, it showcases her maternal bond and her hopes for Harry's future. Join us as we uncover the powerful emotions behind the words and explore the significance of this letter, which provides a rare connection to Diana's private world. Let's journey into the heart of a mother's love. The letters from the past, a haunting glimpse into Diana's world. The letters written by Princess Diana between 1981 and 1994 were kept hidden in the royal archives for decades, their contents sealed away until 2023. These letters were not just casual musings, but poignant reflections of a woman who was grappling with the weight of her royal duties, the collapse of her marriage, and an overwhelming sense of loneliness and fear. Diana wrote with a raw honesty that few in her position would dare to do, but it wasn't until decades later that the world was able to read the full scope of her thoughts. The discovery of these letters sent shockwaves throughout the public, especially one letter written in October 1993, which would later be referred to as the Letter of Prophecy. This letter was no ordinary message. It was a chilling prediction. Diana described her intense fears for her life, predicting an event that would ultimately come to pass. In it, she claimed that her ex-husband, Prince Charles, was planning something terrible, a car accident that would claim her life. Diana described how her brakes would fail, leaving her with a deadly head injury, thus clearing the way for Charles to marry someone else. At the time of writing, she was in the midst of a tumultuous separation from Charles, and the royal couple's marriage had been deteriorating for years. Diana's sense of foreboding wasn't just a passing feeling. Her letter painted a detailed image of what she believed would happen to her. The specificity of her claims sent shockwaves through the public and media when it was revealed years later. What was most unsettling about the letter was not just the details, but how closely they mirrored the circumstances surrounding her death. Diana passed away in a car crash in Paris in 1997, a tragic accident that has been surrounded by conspiracy theories ever since. While the official report attributed her death to reckless driving by her chauffeur, who was allegedly intoxicated, the fact that her death occurred in a similar manner to what she had described in her letter has led some to question whether Diana's fears were, in fact, more than just paranoia. Was there a sinister plot at play? Or was her mind simply conjuring up worst-case scenarios amid the strain she was under? The princess's lonely and isolated existence. Despite her status as one of the most recognized women in the world, Princess Diana was, in many ways, profoundly lonely. The emotional toll of her marriage to Prince Charles was well documented, but Diana's personal struggles extended far beyond the confines of her marital woes. From the very beginning of her time in the royal family, Diana felt isolated and disconnected. The rigid, impersonal structure of the British monarchy left little room for individuality or emotional expression, and Diana, a young woman who had come from a more relatable background, struggled to find her place in a world defined by tradition and formality. Diana's relationship with the royal family was fraught with tension, especially during the early years of her marriage. She often felt like an outsider among the established members of the family, and her natural warmth and charm, which made her an instant favorite with the public, sometimes caused friction within the royal household. In one particularly telling incident, Diana recalled her first Christmas at Sandringham in 1981. Feeling uncomfortable in the midst of the royal family's strict customs and their sometimes cruel jokes, Diana took refuge in the kitchen, chatting with the staff, rather than joining in the festivities. This sense of isolation only deepened as time went on, and her struggles with mental health, particularly bulimia, became a painful part of her private reality. Her eating disorder, which she later revealed in a 1995 interview, was a direct result of the pressure she felt within the royal family and the constant media scrutiny she faced. Diana described the cycle of binging and purging as a way to cope with the overwhelming emotions she couldn't express otherwise. Her disordered eating began shortly after her engagement to Prince Charles, and it continued throughout their marriage. The emotional toll of her strained relationship with Charles, compounded by his ongoing affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, only exacerbated her feelings of inadequacy and hopelessness. Diana's battle with bulimia became a secret that she hid from the public for many years. But in her interview with Martin Bashir, she spoke openly about how the disorder had consumed her life. The tumultuous marriage of Diana and Charles' Princess Diana's relationship with Prince Charles was always destined to be a complex and difficult one. Their whirlwind courtship and engagement, followed by their fairy tale wedding in 1981, captured the world's imagination. But the reality behind the scenes was far from the fairy tale many hoped for. From the very beginning, there were signs that the marriage would face serious challenges. Diana was only 19 when she became engaged to Charles, and it was soon revealed that she had discovered a bracelet Charles had intended for Camilla Parker Bowles, the woman he had never truly stopped loving. This discovery fueled Diana's growing doubts about Charles's commitment to her, and these doubts only deepened as their marriage progressed. The couple had 2 children, Prince William and Prince Harry, but by 1986, their marriage had begun to unravel. Both Diana and Charles were involved in extramarital affairs, Diana with James Hewitt, a former army officer, and Charles with Camilla, who would later become his second wife. The breakdown of their marriage was further exacerbated by the immense pressure of living under constant media scrutiny. Diana, who had once been celebrated as the most beloved member of the royal family, found herself the subject of intense public fascination. She was constantly photographed, every gesture and expression analyzed, which added fuel to the fire of her personal turmoil. In 1992, the couple announced their separation, which was formally acknowledged by Prime Minister John Major. The media attention that followed was relentless, and the public was torn between sympathizing with Diana, who was seen as a victim of royal duty and tradition, and Charles, who was often depicted as the cold, distant figure who had been unable to fulfill his marital obligations. Despite the separation, both Diana and Charles continued to play significant roles in their children's lives, and there were moments when they seemed to reconcile some of their differences. By the time Diana's tragic death occurred in 1997, Charles and Diana had reportedly mended their relationship to some extent, meeting for tea and discussing their shared interests in charity work. Diana's public image, a royal icon. Despite the personal challenges she faced, Diana was an extraordinary public figure. Her ability to connect with people, particularly the marginalized and the suffering, made her a global icon. She was known for her compassion and her willingness to defy royal protocol in order to make a personal connection with those she met. Perhaps one of the most memorable moments of her royal life was when she shook hands with an AIDS patient in 1987, doing so without gloves. This simple yet profound gesture broke barriers, dispelling the myth that HIV/AIDS was a disease only transmitted through physical contact. Diana's acts of kindness, which included sitting with children suffering from illness and visiting people living with HIV, endeared her to millions around the world and helped reshape the public's perception of the monarchy. Her royal duties were not just ceremonial, they were deeply personal. Diana used her position to highlight important social issues, including homelessness, poverty, and the plight of landmine victims. After her divorce from Charles, she continued her charity work, focusing on causes that were close to her heart. Her work with AIDS patients and landmine survivors was particularly meaningful, as she took a hands-on approach to advocacy, visiting people affected by these issues and speaking out against the injustices they faced. The shocking panorama interview. Perhaps the most candid moment of Diana's life came during her 1995 interview with Martin Bashir. Broadcast on BBC's Panorama, the interview was watched by millions of people and revealed Diana's raw emotions about her marriage and her struggles with mental health. She famously said, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded," a reference to Charles's ongoing affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. This statement was a bombshell, as it confirmed what the media had speculated for years, that Charles had been unfaithful to Diana throughout their marriage. In addition to discussing her marriage, Diana opened up about her battle with bulimia, calling it a secret disease that had affected her for years. She also spoke about the pressures of being in the royal family, which she described as suffocating. The interview allowed Diana to share her truth with the world, and while it led to a mix of sympathy and criticism, It cemented her status as a courageous though deeply troubled woman who had been forced to navigate the immense pressures of royal life in the public eye. The aftermath, a legacy of love and tragedy. Princess Diana's death in 1997 was one of the most tragic and shocking events of the 20th century. Her passing, under mysterious circumstances, sparked a wave of conspiracy theories, with some believing that her death was not an accident, but the result of foul play. Diana's letters, her poignant predictions, and her emotional struggles add layers of complexity to the story of her life and death. Whether or not her death was truly the result of a conspiracy remains a matter of debate, but what is certain is that Princess Diana's legacy continues to inspire and captivate the world. Her compassion, vulnerability, and resilience have left an indelible mark on the royal family and the world at large. Diana's life, marked by heartache and triumph, continues to be a source of fascination and reflection as the world grapples with the mystery surrounding her untimely death. The mystery of Princess Diana's personal letters, a history of secrecy and destruction. Princess Diana, often referred to as the People's Princess, remains one of the most iconic figures in modern history. Her combination of grace, beauty, compassion, and personal tragedy made her a beloved figure for millions around the world. However, behind her public image was a complex and often painful life marked by emotional struggles, a tumultuous marriage to Prince Charles, and the constant intrusion of the media. After her tragic death in 1997, the world mourned the loss of a global icon, but the story of Diana did not end there. The aftermath of her death brought a flurry of legal proceedings, media frenzy, and, most notably, a battle over her private belongings, particularly her letters, which could offer a rare, personal insight into her life and struggles. Yet, many of these letters and items have since disappeared, destroyed under mysterious and controversial circumstances, giving rise to questions about privacy, historical accuracy, and the royal family's efforts to control their narrative. This essay explores the mystery behind the destruction of Princess Diana's personal letters and belongings, focusing on the actions of Princess Margaret and Diana's sister, Lady Sarah McCorquodale. Princess Margaret's destruction of Diana's letters. In the years following Princess Diana's separation from Prince Charles in 1992, the royal family was under immense scrutiny. The press had widely reported on the breakdown of their marriage, and much of Diana's personal turmoil was laid bare to the public. During this time, Princess Margaret, the Queen Mother's daughter and Diana's aunt-in-law, became involved in organizing the Queen Mother's personal papers at Clarence House, a task that was both routine and crucial to maintaining royal records. Princess Margaret, who had long been a gatekeeper of royal history and tradition, took a very different approach in handling Diana's personal letters. Instead of preserving these letters for future reference, she made a highly controversial decision. She ordered them to be destroyed. This act of destruction was not a simple gesture, but one that would later be viewed as an attempt to control the narrative of Diana's life, especially after her separation from Prince Charles. In letters written to the Queen Mother, Princess Margaret assured her that she was keeping these documents for safekeeping, claiming she would preserve them for later use. However, many of Diana's letters were already gone by the time Margaret sent these assurances. These letters spanned over a decade and were believed to contain deeply personal reflections from Diana on her marriage, her children, and her struggles with the royal family. There were even suspicions that some of the letters might have revealed her innermost thoughts on the royal family's treatment of her, including her emotional isolation and personal hardships. While Princess Margaret defended her actions by arguing that the letters were too personal and intimate to be stored in public archives or royal records, her decision raised significant questions. Some believed that Margaret was acting out of a sense of duty to protect the family from potentially damaging revelations, particularly as Diana's suffering and the dysfunction of her marriage had already been exposed in Andrew Morton's book, Diana, Her True Story, 1992. This book, a bombshell biography that included Diana's candid interviews, revealed the true extent of Diana's pain and the difficulties she faced within the royal family. The public revelation of such details had already caused a scandal, and Margaret's decision to destroy the letters seemed to be part of an effort to contain any further revelations. On the other hand, others argue that Princess Margaret's actions were not purely about protecting the royal family, but rather about controlling the narrative of Diana's life. By destroying these letters, Margaret may have been attempting to remove any evidence of Diana's personal struggles, which could have further tarnished the family's reputation. The royal family, after all, has long been known for its desire to present a carefully curated public image, and Diana's letters could have provided a more candid and unflattering portrayal of the monarchy. This raises the important question: how much truth was lost when these letters were destroyed, and why was Margaret so determined to remove them from public memory? The role of Lady Sarah McCorquodale, A Sister's Duty and the Mysterious Box. The mystery surrounding the fate of Diana's personal belongings didn't end with Princess Margaret's destruction of her letters. In 2008, Lady Sarah McCorquodale, Diana's older sister, found herself in the spotlight as part of a court hearing concerning Diana's tragic death. As the executor of Diana's will, Lady Sarah was entrusted with the task of managing her late sister's estate, including the sensitive handling of her personal possessions. This responsibility placed Lady Sarah at the center of a legal storm regarding the fate of Diana's belongings. Among the most intriguing and mysterious items in Diana's estate was a large mahogany box, which contained some of her most private and sensitive possessions. According to Lady Sarah, she and Diana's former butler, Paul Burrell, spent hours sorting through Diana's things at Kensington Palace after her death. The contents of this box were particularly significant. It reportedly held a variety of personal items, including documents relating to Diana's divorce from Prince Charles, letters from Prince Philip, and even a signet ring belonging to James Hewitt, the man with whom Diana had famously had an affair. The presence of such intimate and potentially scandalous items made the box a key focus of attention in the aftermath of Diana's death. The box itself was said to have been hidden inside a tennis racket cover, adding an element of intrigue to its mystery. This hidden chest, which contained not only personal letters but also audio tapes recorded by Diana herself, was believed to provide a rare and unfiltered glimpse into Diana's emotional state. The tapes, if they existed, could have revealed her private thoughts on everything from her marriage to her tumultuous relationship with the royal family. However, like many of Diana's other personal items, the fate of the box remains uncertain, and its contents have never been fully disclosed to the public. Lady Sarah claimed that she had entrusted the box and its contents to Paul Burrell for safekeeping, explaining that she could not take the items with her at that time. Her intention, she said, was to later retrieve the box and store it securely at Althorpe, the Spencer family's ancestral estate. However, Burrell's version of events was strikingly different. He claimed that the box had already been moved to Althorpe before Lady Sarah had the chance to retrieve it. This disagreement between the two parties has never been conclusively resolved, leading to further speculation about the true whereabouts of the box and its contents. The destruction of Diana's personal items, protecting privacy or erasing history. The actions surrounding the destruction of Diana's personal belongings have sparked heated debates over the years. While Lady Sarah McCorquodale defended her decision to destroy some of Diana's items, including personal letters, clothes, and even underwear, she explained that she did so to protect her sister's privacy. According to Lady Sarah, the intention was to prevent any of Diana's personal items from falling into the wrong hands or being sold to the highest bidder. However, this explanation has done little to quell the criticism and skepticism surrounding her actions. Many people argue that the destruction of these items went beyond a simple desire to protect privacy. It amounted to an erasure of history. Diana's letters, which contained a wealth of personal reflections, insights into her troubled marriage, and expressions of love for her children, were valuable pieces of history. Some believe that by destroying these letters, Lady Sarah and others in charge of Diana's estate effectively denied the world the opportunity to understand Diana on a deeper level, beyond the carefully crafted public image she projected. One particularly poignant set of letters, written by Diana to Violet Collison, the head housekeeper at Park House on the Sandringham estate, provides a rare glimpse into Diana's personal life. The letters, which spanned from 1981 to 1994, were auctioned in 2015 for a substantial sum, revealing intimate details of Diana's emotions and struggles. In one letter, written just weeks before her wedding to Prince Charles, Diana expressed a sense of calm amidst the chaos of royal wedding preparations, showing her trademark humor even in the face of overwhelming pressure. These letters not only offered a personal window into Diana's life, but also shed light on her deep affection for her sons, William and Harry. In one letter from 1984, Diana describes how William doted on his baby brother, Harry, providing a touching and rare glimpse into the early years of their relationship. These letters remind us that Diana was not just a royal figurehead, but a mother and a woman who experienced both joy and hardship in her private life. In addition to her love for her children, Diana's letters also highlighted her emotional distress during the breakdown of her marriage. In one heart-wrenching letter to friends Susie and Tariq Qasim, Diana expressed how devastated she felt by the divorce, writing, "If I'd known a year ago what I'd experienced going through this divorce, I never would have consented. It's desperate and ugly." These letters offer an unfiltered and candid look at Diana's emotional turmoil, which was often hidden behind her public persona. Despite her personal struggles, Diana remained deeply committed to her charitable work. Her groundbreaking efforts in HIV/AIDS awareness and her campaign to ban landmines made her one of the most influential and compassionate figures of her time. Through her letters, Diana revealed herself not just as a royal, but as a woman with a strong sense of empathy and a desire to help those who were most vulnerable.